importantly, I'm curvy.
Well, that was your beat. This is your beat. And the E together. Gotcha.
Abundantly,
Yeah, this is
blessed with a little more than the average you see. I'm hand in hand with my sisters, paving the way. We have every reason to seize the day. We're unapologetic, uncensored. Girl, I'm bothered. It's the Curve Unplugged. Unapologetic, uncensored, unbothered. It's the Curve Unplugged.
All right, welcome back to the Curve Unplugged. It's your girl, Coach Keish, and I am COVID free now. Yay! And tonight, I am joined by these lovely ladies. First off, I want to introduce you guys to my sister, my baby sister, Shantae. Hey, girl.
I was going to say that
Hey.
first. I was going to say that
And
first.
I'm not the baby sister.
You one of them. You ain't the oldest. That's me. So that makes you the baby.
Right.
See how that work? Boom. How you doing?
I was fine until a second ago.
All right, well, we'll move on. Hey, Keena.
Hey girl.
How you doing, girl?
I'm good, girl.
All right, welcome back. Welcome. I'm loving your hair, by the way.
Thank you.
It's very pretty. Miss Perla,
How you doing, Coach?
I'm wonderful. It's
Little
so good.
sis.
It's so good to see you.
Likewise. You can see through. I gotta
You do, but it's okay. You're gonna be fine. All right, so welcome everyone. Tonight we are speaking on a topic that is near and dear, and that topic is probably going to be like part 1 of 2, because the subject matter is who hurt you. Now, I don't want you, for those of you who think we just gonna talk about ex-boyfriends and ex-girlfriends and all that stuff, that is not the only thing we're gonna talk about. But yes,
Oh, I
we
got
are
a
gonna
list.
get there. But it's
There's a bunch of people on the list.
I think
Parents, kids.
See,
everybody.
there you go. So we're gonna start the conversation about childhood traumas. Like, I want you guys to think about. No, not you. I want you guys to think about in your childhood one of those experiences that shaped you or kind of changed you, like, or broke your innocence. Let's say that. Like, broke your ability to believe in the happily ever after, or broke your ability to believe that people are honest, whatever it may be. Like, I'm gonna go to Keena first.
Wait, I got something.
You?
Real quick. No, not on that. I want to send a shout out to my girlfriend Sally, who's in the hospital bed watching us.
Hey,
I love
Sally,
you, mi amor.
get well, baby girl.
Get well soon.
All right.
I know Keena could go first.
Okay.
I don't think I should go first because that moment didn't come in my childhood. So I want y'all to go first.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
'Cause I want to piggyback off of what you really mean by that topic. So I want to
Okay.
make sure I have the right example.
Understood. So, Shantae, you have something for us?
Oh, I mean, I could think of traumatic moments, but I can't say something that stole my innocence.
Uh-huh.
I think for me, the most traumatic moment, we literally had this the other day. There was this song that came out that was called Juicy Fruit. And me and my sister we knew the words. That was our song. Like, you could not tell us nothing. That was our song. And I couldn't have been no more than 5 or 6.
No more than 5.
And we were in the car and we were just singing. And honest to God, my mom told us to stop singing the song. But it was my song, so I just had to finish. Yeah, sis said, lean up. She didn't even look back. She said, lean up here for a second. And we leaned up, and all I remember is it going black and my face hurting. And I was like, what just happened to my face? Like, I remember my nose was stinging, my lips was stinging, my chin was stinging. I was like, and I'm looking at her, she was like, don't sing that song anymore. And it dawned on me, she just hit me. And I was just like, oh, wow. So, yeah, I can't sing this song no more. So let's fast forward. I was like 5 or 6. So we're going to fast forward to when I was 26. I am in my car. At this point, I have 3 children. And I am listening to the radio, and the song comes on. And just out of I don't know. I just literally just reached up and boop, I turned the radio off. The whole radio, I turned it off. And I'm riding down the street and my mind says, where's the music? Like, why did we turn the music off? And then it's like that childhood Shantae came up and said, girl, that song was on. We almost got hit again. And I was like, oh yeah, let's don't turn that on. And I was like, wait a minute, I'm in my own car. I'm grown with children. And I'm still, to this day, like we were together. The song came on at my other sister's house. And just not even thinking about it, I immediately said to Keisha, I was like,
I didn't know they did that to you.
yes, that song is, I do not listen to the song. If it comes on my radio,
my gosh.
I turn it off. I will not, if I'm at somebody's house and they're playing it, I start humming or something. I cannot, that song is just.
Wow. Okay,
Yeah,
that's
it's
serious.
not.
All right. Perla, what you got?
Damn, Perla. Okay, I think I told this story already. I don't know why I think I did. But the one that I remember the most, so we left LA. My mom's divorced. And she left LA. We sold everything, gave away things at the end. Everything was pretty much new. And we moved to the East Coast. Okay, so that flight, we leave, it's the three of us, my mom, no, four, the three kids, and my siblings, my two siblings, my mom, and we all end up here in Miami. My mom stays, the three of us go to a boarding school in Dominican Republic, right? This is like summer, so school starts, used to start like September was the official, like summer was like all the freaking June, July, and August, and school started in September. So we all were in the boarding school September to around January. My mother comes and I see her in the, how do you say this, in the eating hall or whatever, because remember it's a boarding school, so it's like think Annie, like a bunch of kids, whatever. And I'm like, oh, Mommy, you come to pick us up? And she's like, not you.
Oh.
You're in front of people, girl. In front of people. Yo, I hated that lady forever for that one. And what the funny thing is that she tells me almost 10 years later, I was 15, so I wasn't 25. I was like 21 maybe. A few years have passed. And she was like, we were just having dinner. And she was like, oh, because your mom, she's talking in the third person. Your mom, she's so, rude or crazy. She was like downing herself, saying to herself like she did something bad. And she actually brought that subject up. She knew exactly what she did and that it was wrong. And she waited all those years to tell me I'm sorry, which was crazy. But that was one that was kind of deep, because she took my brother and my sister and left me, and I found out that way. So like quick.
Did you never say why?
Oh, I knew why. Even when she told me that day, I knew why. It's because my stepfather, who moved to Florida as well, wanted to help my mom, to start. Remember, this is September to January, so my mom's still fresh out here. He wanted to help her, get on her feet. And so I never really got along with him. And I was like, if he's involved, I didn't want to be there anyway, but I just didn't need it to be told that way. Eventually I understood it, because I didn't want to be there anyway. I wanted to be there with my mom, got her own place and whatever, which was by the summer, by the end of that school year. But yeah, that was like harsh, But the funny thing is that the director told her, she tells me then, 6 years later, that the director told her it was wrong. All of that she knew, you know what I'm saying? She knew from then it was wrong. Why wait all that time? It's so crazy.
Maybe she had to build up the courage to say it out of her mouth too.
Yeah, she's definitely not one of those to apologize for anything. I gotta say, my mother's changed a lot. She's much better. But it was like, that upbringing, of those parents that are now, 65, I'm 45. They were hardcore, girl. My mom was not. It doesn't matter if they were wrong or not. They're not gonna apologize, even if they found out we didn't take that candy or somebody lied on us. There's no apology given. I apologize to my kid all the time. Again, I don't know if it's better or not.
I was about to ask, do you feel that now you overcompensate?
Probably.
With your daughter?
I think I do.
Probably. These kids she gets away with murder.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I wish that we had a good equilibrium of what I grew up with and to what I am. You know what I'm saying? I know that, I let a lot of things go. I'm not as strict as my mom used to be. And I think she's very, laxed, way too lax in too many things, so yeah, definitely not good.
All right.
I can agree with that.
You can agree with that?
Yeah, I'm like that with my kids. Like I know sometimes they do things, and I'm not the parent that beats my kids. Like I'm the parent that I purposely go out my way to find things. So I do really crazy stuff. Like I have literally went to the breaker box and turned off the power in their room, and that's my way of getting your attention. But I'll only leave it off for maybe like an hour.
That's creative.
Yeah, because I know like everyone's watching TV and everyone's into it, and it's go choo, and then they look in my room and my power still on. Just like,
damn, yo, I like it though. And what do you say? Something's wrong in their room?
no, I say so. You all didn't pay for the power this week. The dishes are still in there. They need to be washed. The clothes that need to be washed. You need to still clean up.
Genius.
So until you pay for your power, I'm going to be watching TV. And I close my door to make sure that there's no we're gonna.
So they don't know how that even happened. They don't know about breakers.
Oh no, they knew.
They know it's the breaker.
But I had that. The one thing I don't think I said when it comes to my kids, I think I gave them enough fear to not try to challenge me with things, but still at the same time, I still wasn't really hard on them. So no one would just go to the breaker box and turn it back on. Like I think they probably thought I would kill them if they tried it, but. But they
My
would.
daughter would probably go turn it on.
They would be just like, well, I've never done it at night. I've never had to do it at night. It's like usually during the day when I know you're like my son would be so into his game and he's just playing and I'm like, click. And then it's just like, he'll just be like, oh, and he'll drop his controller and he'll just immediately go get the garbage and put it out. Or he would go and walk the dog because he already knows. Yeah, he already knows what it is. So he'll just go and do whatever it was. But that worked when they were younger. Like now it's just like, I do a lot of woosah and listen, I'll just tear your whole room up. So I just went to my son's room and he has like change because he works. So he has like all this change up on in front of his TV and all this stuff. So I just went in there one day and I just swiped it all to the floor while he was at work. And I went in my room and I felt so good. And I was like, by the time he gets home from work, he's going to be like, what happened? And I'm like, oh, yeah, I had asked you to put that garbage out. And I came in the room and decided to just tear up something just to feel like it was fair. Since my kitchen was tore up, now your room's tore up, even. We're even. And then he took something from me the other day. So every day I went in his room and I stole something. But I don't think he's noticed the things that I've been taking. So it's been working out.
All right.
At least for you.
At least for you, right?
At least for you.
All right, Keena.
I like it.
Keena.
All right. So her story really brought up something for me. So as a kid, and this was from both of my parents, as a kid, we were never exposed to sexual graphic things. So if there was a movie on TV and maybe it got intimate, my parents would tell us to turn our heads or we had to cover our eyes. Mm-hmm. And as far as I can remember as a kid, I've always been like sexual. I always like not wanted to do it, but I wanted to learn about it because I don't know why. I always had that urge naturally. And because my parents did not let us, number one, sexually express ourselves in any way, and they didn't sexually express themselves, my parents weren't really intimate in front of us. And like I said, we couldn't watch things on TV. If they weren't in the room, we would watch it. But if they were watching it with us, we literally would have to turn our heads. Mm-hmm. And that ruined me in a way that when I got older and I was ready to have sex, I could not. I think I've had unaroused sex for years, not understanding that I never allowed myself to really get in the moment of intimacy because of how my parents blocked that from us.
Wow.
Yeah, I think the first time I really enjoyed sex, I was probably 21, 22. Prior to that, I had just been doing it because
So what age did you start doing it? Let's start there.
16.
That would be normal though, Keena. Let me tell you. I know those things at 16, 17 are
on a psychological level, as a woman, for us to enjoy it, you really have to allow your body to get warmed up and all that other stuff.
Yeah.
And if you have a block subconsciously that what you're doing is not natural because your parents never let you believe it was a natural thing. They just told you don't look at it, don't talk about it, don't do nothing. Like you don't embrace it as a natural thing to enjoy. And I had to force myself to get to that point where I didn't feel guilty for enjoying that moment. So yeah, that was my innocence.
Okay, I got it. Wow. But as a parent, like we don't consider future ramifications of how we're raising our kids in the current, like in the present. My mother, her only advice was always like, don't raise children that nobody else would want around.
Yes.
That was always her advice, because she always kind of imagined that one of us would wind up
die.
dead. We'd be
We're
the body. You be the body, and
No
now
one's gonna
your
want your
children
kids,
are
yeah.
gonna be here, and nobody's gonna want
Because you
them
have horrible
because you were just a terrible mother, and you did not raise them with enough discipline that other people would welcome them into their homes. Now, on the flip side, being 47 and now having adult children, I meet so many people with kids, and I'm like, these kids don't have. It's one little girl I want to choke. I want to throat chop her so bad, but I don't think her parents would like it. But I feel like
sure they won't.
she's always screaming. She's out of control, and I'm used to having some level of control when it comes to small children. But for me, what I think where my innocence initially got lost was growing up. We grew up in a household where we had a parent that was in the military. Always gone, stationed Alaska, stationed Japan, stationed
Germany.
somewhere, right? We finally had a chance. And in my mind, because every time I would see him, he would show up with a uniform on. So in my mind, this was like Superman showing up to the front door. But we had never really lived under the same roof because my mom wanted us to have stability, going to the same school, having the same friends, like having a routine to our day, versus his life that was going to be 6 months here, another 6-8 months there, maybe a year here. So the decision was made that we would grow up, around our grandparents and like in a more stable situation. Well, the first chance we got to live with him, I'm thinking, this is going to be great, Superman, right? To find out after we were there that he had a serious drinking problem. And when he got drunk, he was violent. He would cuss us out like we did. Like, we little kids. We don't even know what you mad about right now. But everything about what I believed about the man on the white horse and someone protecting you and loving you got taken away from me. Like, I, at about 7, began to believe that it was my responsibility to make sure I was safe. At 7, I didn't trust my mama judgment anymore because you married this fool right here, right? I didn't trust him, and that meant I didn't trust any other men to that degree, And so for me, I became this very angry, very aggressive. Like, I was gonna get the getters before I got. I became that person, and I lived as that person for at least another 30 years. And nothing about it, no one could have convinced me otherwise. Like, this was Keisha, this is not the way to go. Nobody could have told me that, because nobody knew what hell I lived in without them seeing it. Like, they weren't there, they don't know. The only other person who knew was my sister. But a lot of it was, she was 4 and I was 8, and there was a part of me that wanted to protect her from some of it,
Right.
As much of it as I could, so that she would have some sense of normalcy. But when I say to you who I was prior to that and who I became in it are like night and day. I want everybody, like, I look at my granddaughter now and I see who I was. When she's so loving, she wants everybody to be friends. She believes she's gonna have like 10,000 friends. She's just all about the happiness and the joy, and I love you so much. And that was so me.
We're a clean slate, girl.
But the next thing you know, that happened, and everything changed.
I agree with you with that because I remember, what's the name of the movie? It's the movie where it's not 2012, but it's the other one, The Day After Tomorrow, where the father tells us that I'm coming, I'm going to come for you, I'm going to come for you. And the very first time I watched that movie, it literally broke my heart because the first thing I was thinking was, who would I call? I wouldn't call my dad. He's not going to come to get me. My dad's not coming to get me. I know he's not coming. So it's like, who would I call? And then it just always like I love that movie just for that scene. That, you know, he had that faith in his dad, even after his dad said, I'm coming for you. And then even when his friends questioned him, like, you know, I don't think your dad's coming. And he says, my dad's coming. And then his dad actually shows up. It's like, that was so big for me because I've never had that. I could never say, my dad's coming. But that was then. My daughter's 5. So I want to say the last 6.5 years, our relationship has completely changed.
You and your dad.
Me and my father.
Okay.
He was going through a really bad divorce, and in some kind of way, Lord, he kept calling me. Like, I would call him just to say, hey, hi. Like, he would come across my mind, like, oh, let me see how he doing. Oh, I just left the court. Oh, I'm on the courthouse steps. Oh, this horrible thing happened. I'm like, why do I keep calling? Why this man is going through this? Because I don't want to hear it. Like, we would be on the phone for 2-3 hours, and I'm just listening to him talk on and on and on about this, and I'm just like, I don't even care. All I wanted to know was that you were alive. That's literally what my call was about. Damn. Just trying to be a good kid. But it brought our relationship to a different place. So at that time, I couldn't say my dad would come get me. Today, I know if something happened, my father would be the first person I'd call because I know he would come. When I was pregnant with my daughter, I started having these really bad fainting spells. And they didn't want me driving. My dad made me schedule every appointment for his off days. He would drive. His house from my house was an hour. He would drive to pick me up. I would always be to my appointment early. He would stay for the whole appointment and then take me back, make sure I ate, whatever, and take me back home. When I had my daughter, my dad was right there with me.
That's beautiful.
It's just, but he wasn't that person before. I would never have assumed that I would ever have that feeling that if something happens, I could call him because I never had that. Like that movie, even now, even with the relationship I have with him now, that movie still means something to me because I still remember that time when I didn't have that.
Of course.
Yeah.
Plus the child, looking at it as a child is different, you know?
Let me ask you a question. Because one of the things that I struggle with is I hold on to how a person hurt me, and I have no type of belief that they could ever be somebody else. Mm-hmm. But your story shows me that through time, people do change. Mm-hmm. So did you ever at any point believe like your dad was just going to be that way for the rest of your life? Did you see him one day becoming something that like you say he is now?
No, absolutely not. Nope.
So the divorce helped.
The constant conversation, like
right.
It got to a point where I didn't like with this whole divorce conversation. I wasn't in the mindset of I'm his kid and he's my dad. It was like, okay, listen, do this. This will fix that. Why don't you do that? That'll fix that. You're calling me with things that you could absolutely, if you stop talking so much, you could absolutely fix. Like him and his ex-wife went through this whole thing about a title to a car. Like she holds herself high because she's a pastor of a church. She literally had me with this whole story how he was so awful to her. And I'm not saying he wasn't. I'm just saying that when it was her turn to be the awful person, she actually was that person. Title to the car came up. He paid his car off. She was supposed to give him the title to the car, and she didn't. She sent him a check that was like for 23 cents that he paid over. And she told him no title came. So then he called the title people, and of course they say, yes, of course. Why would we send you a check and no title? That makes no sense. So he literally pays $350 to go back to court with his lawyer so they can argue over a title. So he calls me on this day. And honestly, at this point, I've had my daughter. She's a baby. I had just put her down. I was so tired. And he calls me with this, and I said, Dad, why you just didn't call the title people back and ask them to send you a new one to your new address? Why wasn't that the first thought? And he gets super quiet and he says, I never thought of that. I said, they literally have the title there with them. Why wouldn't they just, let's print another one and here you go. And he says, well, I'm gonna call you back. So sure enough, he calls me back in like 15 minutes and say, the people said, cool, we'll send you out another one. We'll send it to the new address, no problem. So I asked for my $350 because I said, if you can pay your lawyer $350 for that, whatever hours that was that you all stood in there, then I should be able to get that money because it's just like, I stopped making our relationship be, I'm your child and you're my parent. And it was just to the point where, listen, sir, you're an older person and I'm a younger person to you, but I can't, like, I felt like at one point I was coddling the conversation because I was constantly hearing the same story. I could pull a violin out of my, and just play it because he was just doing the most with this conversation. So it just like, I stopped trying to look for that. I stopped trying to make him be that person. I didn't ever put that out there like, oh wait, here's your cape and tights. I need you to put that on for me. It was just like, okay, so we're gonna have this relationship, fine. And this is what I can do for you in this relationship. And the days that it don't work, like now, even though we're close, it's days that I don't want to talk. So when my phone rings and I'm not in the mood to hear whatever is going on in his life, decline. And I'm still a good person. I'm not a horrible person because, again, I always keep in mind, I remember when you didn't call me, you didn't know where I lived, what I was doing, how I was doing, how my kids were, or anything. So I don't take it internally. Like, I love him dearly, I do. And it would hurt me if something happened to him, but I don't owe him anything because I feel like at this point, anything, me answering my phone to you, me picking up my phone, calling and see how you're doing, that's the privilege to you. It's not a privilege to me. And that's how I look at it. And I tell Keisha all the time, one thing I try to do with everyone, especially people who pass away, I try not to look at the negative. I try to remember these 2 good things about them, and that's it. Because if you hold on to everything that happened, if you constantly got a checklist, oh yeah, I remember when this happened, and that happened, and that happened, and that happened, you will never give yourself the peace you need because you're constantly just still being mad. And 9 times out of 10, the people who you mad with, they good. They don't even care. They don't even know you mad. They will call you like it's nothing. Hey, girl, how you doing? You be like,
I mean, they might know, but I think
they don't care though.
One of the things that we talked about before was like knowing that closure belongs to you, and I feel like Shantae's really good at that. She finds her closure and she moves on to the next thing. Wherein you and I, we hold on to it. If it's whatever it is, somebody hands you a bag of shit, you just gonna stand there holding it versus getting rid of it. When it comes to him. Now, he and I will speak here and there. Now, we do not have a relationship. I wouldn't call it that. I really wouldn't. But he said something to me a few years ago that made a lot of sense. And it was not until I heard him say it that I realized how right he was. And I hated for him to be right. I really did.
I know that killed you.
But he said, I want to apologize to you for the things I did. However, I can apologize every day for the rest of my life and yours. And until you are ready, nothing is going to change. And he was absolutely 100% right about that. When I became ready to move forward with my life, I had to forgive him and I had to forgive me for holding on to it so long because it was just baggage. We talk about the song Bag Lady, but it's exactly that. It's the baggage that we carry around, and we think that's making us stronger. Oh, I'm strong because I ain't gonna let nobody hurt me. I'm strong because you cannot control, you should not want to control what you gonna feel, good or bad. What you control is how you react to it, not the thing itself. We've been sitting in our houses now for over a year. Right, with this whole pandemic. The year still went by, although we sat in our houses. Whatever day they shut the world down, the calendar didn't stop right there and wait until the world opens back up to pick up again, or we'd still be in 2020. The world went on, whether we participated or not. So I look at pictures of myself 10 years ago, and I still look good. Let's not get it twisted. But 10 years ago, what things looked like 10 years ago is not what they look like today. And yet I can't go back 10 years and reclaim whatever joy I let slip away, whatever time I should have said I'm sorry, or hey, I know we had a disagreement about this thing, and can we talk through it, and can we reconcile whatever, or just agree to disagree and go our separate ways, move on, you know. I don't get to go back. Neither does our parents, whatever they may have messed up. Neither does ex-boyfriends, girlfriends, your kids, your siblings. They don't get to go back to that time where they hurt you and change the moment so that it never existed.
Did I hurt you?
You did, girl. You did. That day you cussed me out when you said I didn't help you when them kids fought you. And
Wait,
then I
wait,
beat
wait,
up. No,
wait,
you're not
wait.
gonna tell the story.
Wait.
You're not gonna tell
You ain't
the
gonna
story.
tell it like that's
You're not
how
gonna
that
tell
went.
the story. That is actually how it went. But we're gonna leave it at that because we only got an hour and a half. Okay?
What you mean? That fits the who hurt
No,
you.
no,
Doesn't it though? Cause that
no.
yeah.
No.
She ain't hurt though.
Really?
You know.
Okay, we're gonna move on. We're gonna move on. Now, I also wanna talk about, you know, in this being hurt scenario, is parent pleasing. Right? Because I'm gonna tell you guys something that
I don't think we were parent pleasing kids.
I do. Because it mattered to me that I got good grades.
Oh, it didn't matter to me. No, please don't ever think it mattered.
It mattered to me that the things I did made them happy. It mattered to me. So wherein, truth be told, I would run home with my report card. Not
I
this one.
used to want to clip her every day. Every time we had a report card, I was like, I just punch her in the back
But-
of her head.
When I got the 3-place division, friends,
I passed
things
it.
started going downhill in math. Started going bad. So then I would come home and I'd have a C in math or a D in math. Everything else is A's and B's. But I have this one bad grade because I struggled from probably 6th grade till I graduated. I struggled in math class, always. And my mama would look at the report card and be like, but what's up with that C, or what's up with that D? Like, I don't need to do nothing for you because you coming home bringing me bad grades. When it was the one class that I was just crying at the chalkboard and struggling, and yet I wanted to be able to go home and make my mama happy. And I wanted to be able to show, you know, my dad, be happy, proud of me. Look at what I did. Look what I accomplished. And I think I took that into my adult life, in my relationships, always trying to overprove myself, like doing too much. You know, somebody likes you, you like them. All the phone calls can't be from you. All the text messages can't be from you. You got to be busy sometime, and you can't always answer their call. You got to have you have to exist outside of these other people in your life.
Sure.
Right? But unfortunately, because of that parent pleasing, sometimes that becomes who we are. And then we go into every other relationship, friends, boyfriends, girlfriends, husbands, wives, you name it. And we just spend a lifetime of attempting to please people because we felt so out of place when our parents were not happy with something that we were doing. I see it on your face, Keena.
Kena's ready to talk.
Let's
girl.
talk. Come on, talk to me, boo.
That has been my lesson over the last month, because one of the things that I've had the hardest time was forgiving my relationships that failed.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, okay, why is it that I'm still angry? And so in asking myself that question, I said, well, because I did this and this and this and this and this, and it got me nothing. And I'm like, where did I get that from? And I'm like, that was my relationship with my parents. I did what I needed to do to make sure my parents were pleased with me. And that meant cleaning the house without being asked. That means making sure my grades were good. That means making sure I'm on my best behavior, whatever it took. Probably because my parents gave me no other form of affection or appreciation other than just not being pissed at me. Mm-hmm. So making sure they're not pissed off at me was my reward.
Mm-hmm.
Damn.
So going into relationships with men, I performed. Every relationship was a performance. I'm doing this, I'm making sure you're happy. But in the end, I'm fucked over. I never got nothing back. And so I said, okay, Kina, the shadow part of that is, why do I accept people not loving me back? That's the real truth. Because as kids, you can't tell your mama, well, you know, mama, I wish you would just love me the right way. Why do I have to have good grades for you to love me or show me that you're happy with me? Not saying that my parents intentionally did it, but then you grow up for the rest of your life allowing people to not love you, and it's okay because all you're going to do is compensate for the fact that they're not giving you what you deserve. Mm-hmm. And I realized the lesson that was so hard for me to get, and I finally got it, that those relationships were destroyed so that I can understand that it's not about me giving all the time, because I'm supposed to also receive. When I was a kid, my dream was to get married by 18 with the idea that it's my job to be a great wife. Mm-hmm. When I was 13, I studied the Bible to be the virtuous woman. I made myself be this perfect woman, not understanding that I'm supposed to receive in return. I never made that a standard to receive anything back. And so finally, when the biggest relationship ruined my ego, ruined my soul, but it finally taught me that, Kina, you cannot continue to keep giving to people and not receiving in return. You don't need to perform for someone to love you. So when you said that, it's really what I've been dealing with, because that is like the seed of everything in my life. Even with friends that I did not let go, that I should have let go for years, I kept them because I didn't understand that I needed to be loved back.
Because you're so busy performing.
Exactly.
Like, you're so busy being in character that you don't even realize that nothing is coming back your way. If you went to work every day and then Friday came and you got up, as we all do,
She always got the best analogies.
and you check your bank account and ain't a goddamn thing in it, they gonna get a new you at that job. They gonna get a new you. They're not gonna get the you they used to, because you didn't get rewarded for your work, right? But we allow it to happen every other place. We allow people to kind of give us some of their time and attention. I am working so hard at, and I don't want to call it matching energy, but being selective of how much pouring I do into any given thing. Like, even with my sons, I have adult children. And it's hard to let go of directing your children because you've done it their entire lives. You've do this, go this way, don't do that. And then the minute they do it, because they're adults and it's time for them to make decisions on their own, you are floored that the shit, what? So you, wait, what happened? So that happened? But didn't I tell you if you do that, that was gonna happen? You spend so much time in that directing of your kids that you don't even know that you gotta pour out just enough right now. You've reached that place where you pour out just enough that they know I'm here and I support you, right? But it ain't mine to do. It's yours to do. It's your life, it's your job, it's your college, it's your career, it's your friends, it's your decisions, not mine. That is hard to get into your head. It's very, very hard, because on top of that, you're worried about your parents side-eyeing you for how you raising your children, because I didn't raise you like that, and why you letting these kids do X, Y, and Z. So it's a challenge all the way around. But we've got to be people who practice proportion balance. How much portion do I need to give to this? How much energy, how much time do I need to give to this that's happening right now?
Right.
Because otherwise you will overcompensate in every relationship. It's not just the intimate ones. You know, it's not just the people you're sleeping with. It's the people you loving, period. Mama, daddy, sister, brother, your kids. It's all about the balance. So I think you said it all right there, Kina, with, just recognizing that it doesn't have to go. It's not a one-way street. That chick wrote a song, I found love on a two-way. Somebody had to give it, and somebody had to get it. Goes both ways. And do you think that we get, because I do think this, do you think we get affection and aggression kind of mixed up?
Yeah.
Why you say yeah?
I don't know. I mean, I guess it's like you don't have a choice, because if your parents are not affectionate, but they
It's
can
like
be aggressive when you're not doing what
Any
you need to
attention,
do.
like any attention is valid.
Exactly.
thing.
Yeah.
I think I just really was always the kid that didn't care. I literally think that was always me as a kid, because I didn't care if my mom beat me at least 3 times a week, so I was almost always ready for it.
Spankings, you were not beat. She didn't punch you.
She didn't swing on me, but she had this cowhide belt that she worked out with me. We worked each other out with that one. But I honestly, like, I don't feel like, you know how people say, oh, you beat your kids, they come, you know, they become these aggressive people I don't feel like I was ever that kid, but I do know that I did not, and I guess it sounds so weird to say, I just don't think I really cared. I did my work in school.
I wonder what came first, though. From the beatings, did you then decide not to care? You know what I mean?
No, I mean, I don't think I've ever.
Or is that
my
then
dad,
why she beat you?
When we were, the scenario Keisha was talking about, when we were younger, the fight thing. When we lived there, my dad didn't beat me, but I still didn't care how he felt. I got into trouble all the time. The military police would come get me all the time. To me, it was just like, so just deal with that. Like, I don't know. I don't know. I don't even know how to say that. Like, I don't know what to say. Like, I wish you
would figure that out, though, because that would help us in parenting.
But I think,
a kid like you that would be like that
Right.
doesn't care. Like, okay.
I think that was more from me, from my outside looking in at you, was that Shantae being the baby, right? She was gonna get away with
did a lot.
so much. She got away with a lot.
Well, then that's
Stuff that I
different.
could have not even to this day.
But
Tried.
for that, I would say, because when we were born, she was the first grandchild, period. So she was already held to this higher standard that the rest of us didn't have to deal with. So she was the one that was going to dress up and take to church 100 times. My grandmother knew I was going to fight. If I went, I was going to tear up my stockings or something. My shoes was going to be scuffed. So she was just like, okay, I'm going to leave you home because I ain't got time to deal with that. But Keisha always was ready. Like, she was that person. Like, I always envied that about her. I always envied that about her. Like, she would, like, people would come over and she was always very articulate. And I'd just be like, I don't. Can I go outside?
That was the people pleasing.
Right. Well, I mean, now it makes sense that we've had this conversation to understand that's what you thought you were performing, because they basically had you there for a performance. But at the same time, and this is something I don't think I've ever said to you, I was always jealous of that. I always felt like they cared more about what Keisha was doing. Well, Keisha is this and Keisha is that. Keisha and Keisha and Keisha. And that's one of the reasons why, it's just, I guess it's the best time to say it, I always hated when people call me Keisha little sister. Because you can't compare me to her. Because we were never alike. I always felt like there was, when people would call me Keisha's sister, they expected me to perform like she did. So when we were in school, I was actually good in math. I was actually excellent in math. I always did good in math. And then I remember 5th grade, I had a teacher who wasn't Keisha's teacher, but he taught in the same room that she was in. And he said to me, "You're nothing like your sister. You'll never be like your sister." And I said, so? That's why my mama had 2 kids. She had one that was named Keisha and one that was named Shantae. I'm never gonna be like her, but I always wanted to be. I always wanted to be this person. I always wanted, like, in our family, she was always treated almost like the perfect kid. She was the perfect kid. Like, she was going to speak well. She was going to win all the awards. She was going to do all these magical things. Life was just going to be great for her. And Shantae, sure you get by on something. Something about you will do something greater with you. You know, like I never, like even when we were growing up, when we got to high school, it's like they expected her to go to college, become this great person, and no one, not my mom, not my dad, no one ever even asked me, did I want to go to college? No one ever said anything to me. I remember the first college paper that came to our house for me. My mom said, "Oh, some college sent something here for you." As if to her, it was just like, well, I don't know why they sent this to you, but here, girl, here your little bit of mail. And I was just like, wow, like you don't even care. Like, but it was because I knew that, you know, the spotlight was always on Keisha. So I can see how she felt like she had to be a people pleaser because they always made her seem like she was bigger than the world. Like, oh, you know, well, Keisha did this, so you should do that. You should try that. Well, you know, dresses were never my thing. I never liked dresses. Don't hand me a dress. I don't care for the dress. But it was always like, okay, well, let's find you something because you're not going to wear a dress, so let's find you something. Oh, that probably looked cute on you. And then Keisha was always really skinny, and, you know, she was short. And then I was short, and I was fat. And then I started getting taller, but still fat. So it's just like, oh, well, we'll get Keisha this cute little old dress right here. What you want, a pair of pants or something? Let's go get you something from over here. And it's like, well, damn, really? That's how, you know, that's how I always felt about it. But the one thing I will say is she never made me feel that way. So that's why my entire life, my loyalty's always been right here. Because she never made me feel like I was less than her. Like, okay, we got this. We're going to do this. We. It was always the grouping. We were always together. But it's like when it came to them, it was Keisha and Shantae. And I always hated it.
So okay, because you guys sound just like me and my siblings. I was that kid that since I was a people pleaser, I followed all the rules. I did everything I was supposed to do, and I would always tell on my brother and sister because I didn't think it was right that they didn't follow the rules, and I'm following the rules. I'm doing everything right, and then they didn't like me. They didn't like me.
I would have beat you up.
But it made me, because they used to exclude me. Like my big sister had her own room, and she would call my brother, and they would be there by themselves, and they wouldn't include me.
You gonna snitch?
Yeah, you gonna tell. So why would I bring you in here?
But it made me think because
That shit is funny.
that was my choice because there was something that I needed from my parents that I didn't get. So it makes me question what could my parents have given me as a kid that would have made things better.
That is such a good question because I was thinking about her and I was thinking kids that are like that are like, I don't care. It's like you needed a hug. You needed to be more hugged. You needed to be, you know, that's what it was. It's like, you know, you needed more attention. And they didn't realize that being tough and everything like that is you needing, that's the way that you
and each
ask
child
for it.
needs something different.
Yeah, exactly. So that when I was like, you know, that's what I was like thinking about her when she was saying that. I was like, you needed a hug. You needed to be more hugged. For real.
I think for me,
I mean, no, I'm not saying that that's not true. I'm just saying that now that you're saying it, I'm just thinking like,
It probably was.
maybe it was a hug. I don't know.
But you know what I
think
mean?
for me-
That affection, though. It's like, come here, I love you. You know what I
And
mean?
then, you know,
I
that's
love
so
you.
funny because I'm like that with my kids. I'm extra loving on my children.
Me too.
Like
Me
I
too.
extra hug and extra harass them because it just seems like the right thing to do.
I think for me, I needed to hear my parents say things to me. Like maybe if my parents would always tell me I was pretty or if I was beautiful or if I was smart or if I was whatever, I needed the words from my parents. I think that's what I needed because now in my adult life, I'm all about affirmations.
I was gonna say, are you words of
Constantly
affirmation?
telling myself, yeah, I'm constantly telling myself things that I can't seem to believe about myself because I've never freaking heard it all my life. So now I have to get myself in the habit of seeing myself as beautiful, complimenting myself, and being positive towards myself because I clearly, if I was a snitch as a kid, it's that I wanted my parents to tell me something about me. Tell me that I'm great. Tell me that you are proud of me or something. So my question to you two, since you guys have different experiences as kids, what is it that you guys think you guys needed from your parents that would have made things better? Because I know it would be different, completely different for the two of you.
Oh, for me, I needed more affection. I really did. And I still do. It's the missing thing in my life. Because like I mentioned earlier, we were very young in a very bad situation, and because I had a little sister, I couldn't cry. Like, I couldn't stand there and break down if Shantae already confused or like, well, what's going to happen? What are we going to do? Where are we going to go? Like, I had to always be strong about it. So even if I wanted to cry, I had to swallow that. Like, your sister can't see that. So all my life, I've been kind of waiting to have someone come into my life that was like, you don't have to worry. I got you.
To save you.
Like, you go ahead and sleep. Let me just, and the closest I've ever gotten to that, sadly, is that when I call him daddy, my grandfather, when he passed away, my sister says to me, I'm going to be you this week. You worry about you, and I'll deal with all the family stuff. And she doesn't know what that did for me, because it gave me the freedom to then cry about losing him. And before she said that, I hadn't even cried about it. So all of it is the thing that I needed the most. So the people in my world who have given me attention, I overcompensated even that to the point where they didn't have to give any more attention, because I was giving all of it, because you're like a dry sponge. The minute a drop of water hits you, you soak it up so quickly. But now I'm learning that your energy is important. How you see yourself when you look in the mirror, who you see looking back at you, and how you regard her. That's the key. That's the clue to how the rest of your life plays out. The people who come into it, the people you lose even. Because sometimes our world gets emptied out. In a matter of 3 or 4 months, I lost 2 people that were very close to me. They didn't die, but our relationship just ended. And I will tell you that those were harder to get over than somebody I dated. Because just like with your kids, you never believe that your child's gonna do something to hurt you. You don't really believe it. Then they do some shit. But when it comes to the people you call your friends, the people you're closest to, you trust them to a fault. And some part of you believes that they would never do something that would hurt. Not you. And then it happens. And you don't know. I think the people I've dated, part of me already was ready for the bullshit. This is great. This feels good. I'm loving this moment. But it's coming. You're going to pull it, right?
Tuesday, 12 o'clock.
But your friends, your people that's closest to you, you don't believe that about them ever. And you don't believe it about your kids. You may even believe it about your parents because you had to grow up in their house. And you know they shenanigans. My mom, she said something yesterday. I don't know if you were paying attention when she said this. So we were all sitting there talking, and things from our childhood came up. And she said, I know I didn't always make the right decisions when it comes to you guys, but I did the best I could, right? I will tell you that I believe that with my whole heart. Yeah. I believe that our parents give us what they have. And the same way I'm missing affection, and I don't know that I gave enough to my sons. I don't know that I gave them enough. But there was things that I didn't even know to give. When I was married, I didn't know what it meant to be a wife. And my examples of the women around me were not the most loving, gracious examples of what a wife meant, right? So I adopted what I knew, and I applied it to my current situation, and it was destruction. So, but it took me to recognize it as wrong. If your mom is doing something she doesn't apologize about, she doesn't know. My grandmother didn't apologize. Ever. She'll buy you a house before she'll say, I'm sorry. She really, truly will. But imagining her when she was growing up, I doubted anybody apologized to her for much. I doubt that she got affection time she needed it as well. So at some point, you don't even know that it's missing because in your world, it's normal to not have it, right? And yet, for those of us who recognize this is missing, in so many of our subsequent relationships, we will take that one thing and we will wear it the hell out. So if the thing is, I didn't get enough love, nobody told me they love me, you probably done said I love you 100 million times to the wrong person.
Absolutely. Definitely.
Waiting for them to say it back. Thinking that one day
Or show you.
they gonna show me something, they gonna do something that's gonna make all this hard work I just put in worth it.
Or that nostalgic moment when you're sitting there and you realize that the person that you're in love with is not this person sitting there with you, and you're just like, how the hell did I get here? Like, you start really realizing that they are, like, they kept their, like you said, how you were performing, their representative has always been there, and then that day comes when the representative doesn't show up, and you're just like,
Who are you?
damn, wait, have you always been this person? Because I got one of them in my life right now, and every time he calls me with something new, I'm just like, how did I get here with you? Like, how am I here? Because I'm so, you were not the person I was dating. And now that we are no longer dating, you're now this whole different person. Your representative is no longer showing up. So it's just like every day is something new, and I'm just like,
Child, I was done fell over head over heels for some foolishness that I call man bang now. Man bang.
What the hell? How the name is that?
that's not a story you can tell.
Man bang, I had to realize that I was tripping.
Yeah, that's how I'm telling you. My daughter's father.
It's nothing like that day when you realize it's you.
But yeah, because I'm telling you, when you're sitting there to yourself, and then you're not even having a self conversation. They do something, and then it's like your real self that's real with you. Step up and say, "You chose that. That's what you picked out. That. Did you hear what he just said? That's what you chose." And then you sitting there saying, "Wait, no, because that's not who showed up." And then your real self is just like, nope, that's who they've always been. Now the representative's no longer here. So now what you about to do? Because now you stuck with it.
So Prella, let me ask you, have you ever had a situation where you were not dealing with the representative, but the real them was just fucked up and you still continued to entertain it?
Oh, of course. Of course, we all do it. We all do it.
We think we can change him. That's what it be. Oh, I can make him.
Nah, you know what? Okay, so to go back a few steps, you guys were talking about. It reminded me, since you're here with your sister, of something that I've told my sister a lot, and I don't know when I came to that conclusion or realization, but to learn to stop expecting things from people. My sister would put people in such a high standard in anything, as the friendship per se. Mm-hmm. And so when the person didn't say something to them that they should have or whatever, she would be like devastated. And it's like, oh, but people make mistakes, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I was thinking about that because when you guys were talking about your youth and everything, this is something that I had to learn real early. I don't know why. I can't give a specific moment, mm-hmm. but I think it's something that we should do. I know that there's an equilibrium of you don't want them to mistreat you, but also, just know that people are human. And that's one thing, like you were talking about your dad, and, he's made a redemption. And I feel like as long as a person is still alive, that parent, sometimes you were at least open to even receive his phone call and give him the opportunity to become what he is to you now. I always tell that to people, you know what I'm saying? Because mine is dead. And I'm one of the only ones out of 8 children that my father had with 4 different women, 5 different women, I'm sorry, 5, that just held them to that standard of, I'm the little girl who loves her dad. It doesn't matter what he did. Because it didn't matter. Because I'm not his wife.
Yeah.
I'm his daughter, and as long as he's treating me good, that's the only thing I need to care about. Whatever you guys go through, that's your problem. And I knew that early. Like, I felt that early. You know what I'm saying? It's like, you're talking about my dad. Like, don't talk about my dad in front of me like that, you know, negatively. I remember being that type of protector or, you know, person about my dad and all that. So I always tell people that, like, you know, as long as he's still alive, you know, give him the opportunity, at least for the ones that want to reach out. Like those people that have those parents that want to reach out, and you're still so fucking mad and still not over it, and not still like, you know, whatever. Over 25, we've cheated, been cheated on, understand relationships to the point that how can you not forgive? Listen, and I know that with parenting, look, I wanted to go back to this because it's something that I wanted to talk about. How I overcame something with my dad real quick. We left when I was 6, Dominican Republic, and I grew up in LA. So from 6 to 11, that was my first time back. I started going back to DR from 11 years old. So we were gone for a few years that we didn't go back to DR. If I'm not mistaken. Yeah. So I got here at 6. I didn't go back till I was 11. And then from then I saw him till he died when I was 20. So back to that boarding school. I was in boarding school at 13. That was another actually story that my mom did to me. And then I was back at 15, right? So at 15, my dad, he came to visit me one time. So, you know, in my head, I would think when I was in LA, you know, whatever, my dad never picked me up from school. I understood all the stuff. We were thousands of miles away, so I understood that. So I never had that theory because I knew we already had the distance. But you always would think, man, you know, you want him to pick you up. He wants to call you for your birthday. But, you know, back then, remember, phone calls were ridiculous. The further we were in the West Coast from Dominican Republic. Forget it. What was that, $5 per minute? Who knows? You know? Yeah. Anyway, long story short, I'm 15, and I've always journaled. My mom used to journal. She had all her diaries from, like, her youth. And I wrote a letter to myself from my dad, okay? I can't tell you what it said right now, but basically it was like, man, you turned out to be a good kid. I love you. And I think I've done 2, because I remember doing it after he passed away, something in that sort. But I remember doing it at 15 because I sort of just forgave him for what he wasn't there for. You know, and sometimes we think, oh, you know, if they're around, they could do better or whatever. But at that boarding school, first of all, at 13 and the boarding school, this is all in Dominican Republic. So it's still within the same country. And one boarding school was probably maybe an hour, 45 minutes, never saw me. And then the other school when I was 15, he came to see me once. And I'm sure it was because he made a stop. He stopped because he was probably going somewhere, passing through that part of town or that part of the country. It's like saying, you're going to Orlando. Hey, I got a kid over here in Tampa in this boarding school. Let me go stop real quick and check her out once. You know what I'm saying? So, hey, you know what? I did that for myself. I think journaling is you know, helps out a lot. You let a lot of feelings. I never had anybody to express my feelings to, so I was always very inward, you know, about my things or my feelings. Because nobody was going to care about them. Or I wasn't going to express them to anybody either. So, nor did anyone ask. This is all my whole youth. So, yeah, I think that was a good one. You know what I'm saying? Like, to think back, I'm like, wow, that was like deep of me to even let that go in that way, as opposed to most of my siblings who still hate him.
Right.
In their memory of my dad, you know, are overly compensated type of fathers, sort of, that are like almost helicopter type fathers. You know what I mean? Like constantly, you know, battling the baby mama when she's a good mom, just for more time. It's just a lot of stuff. But at the end of the day, hey, you know what? He chose that to be what he wasn't gonna do. You know, like the whole thing about breaking the cycle. You know, in terms of having the dad. So he was, you know, I told him, I said, you know what? For all you've done, just so I'm at this point again. You know, I realize these kids were never gonna do a good job. They're always gonna have something to complain at. Because I've done it, right? So I see my daughter already complaining at me of things that I can't do for her. So I already let that shit go.
Thanks.
3 years ago. No, I'm serious.
Yeah.
Because this kid is so verbal. with everything that she feels, and I guess I've allowed for her to express that, I'm like, oh, this is going to be this kid, you know what I'm saying? She's never going to be happy. And she's always going to have something to say, which is great. Hey, I love her voice. I love that she's, you know, but I understand that. So now I don't judge myself in those standards because I know they're never going to be happy. And that's what I told my brother. This kid is going to be annoyed at how you raise him because you're on his ass like that. You know what I mean? So he's another one that's going to have a complaint. Yeah. All the stuff that my brother is doing as a positive thing.
What he thinks is a positive thing.
What he thinks is a positive thing, which it is though. But too much of anything is whatever.
Yeah.
So we'll see what the little kid, when he finally gets his little voice, which, it's going to come soon. I mean, his kids are already 11.
That we talk about love language, right? So kids have love languages as well. We all grow up with some perception of what we think is great. So I expect that every child, I don't care how rich or poor you are, how much privilege they have or not, how strict you are, how liberated you are with raising them, every kid has something they wish their parents would have been different or better at, or more of this, less of that. And I had my own complaints about my mom and all of her shenanigans, and my grandmother and at this point in my life, I thank them for being who they are. I think that they literally gave us the best of what they knew how to give.
I wanted to back up a second because you made a comment about dad beat dads and dad dads. A friend of mine posted that on her Facebook years ago. She was like, she would rather her daughter's father be dead than be a deadbeat. And I immediately got pissed because my older two kids' father died in a tragic accident, literally
People don't
at
know
work.
what the fuck they're talking about.
And
it's crazy.
She was just like, she had this whole post, all her little dumb friends, they're egging her on, because this, and third. Okay, speeding up to now, I see she posted, her daughter's birthday was in March. She posted a picture of her daughter with her dad, talking about how great a dad he is today.
How long was it?
Huh?
How long was the difference of her?
It was years. It was a good amount of years. I want to say at least 10 years or more.
Right.
And I wanted to say, the evil bitch in me wanted to say, I know not the dad beat dad that you wanted to be dead. You know that my daughter, she can have 900 birthdays. She can live for infinity. She'll never have a picture of her and her dad. She has one picture when she was like 2 or 3. She has that picture all over her house because that's the only picture she has of her and her dad for her birthday.
So sad.
But you literally wanted this man to be dead, and your daughter is now 24 years old and she can celebrate with her dad, and you can post, how he's a great father today. I can never do that. Well, but you didn't think about that when you, even when I try to talk to her, because I literally called her on the phone. I'm not going to post this on Facebook. I'm going to call you on the phone hey, why are we doing this? And I tried to talk to her, and she literally just got belligerent on the phone. I'm just like, oh, you know what? Okay, you know what? Look at me being in your business. You right. And I hung up. We never had the conversation again. To this day, I've never brought it up. But it's just things like that always irritated me. People who would be so quick to say, oh, well, I would rather him to be dead. Because people can be horrible fathers because they don't know any better.
And technically, she should be dead too, because she's the one who picked him.
You chose this. And you had plenty of chances to get away from it, and you still chose it. So
but at the end of the day, in the moment, we respond to moments. We respond to what's happening right now.
Death? No.
You may not take it that extreme. I'm not going to say that was right. I'm just saying that however built up you are in the moment, that's what you deal with. Because if you are overwhelmed and you got too much on your plate, somebody over here kicking it, having a good time, ain't worried about shit. While you trying to figure out doctor's appointments, your job giving you a hard time, you done had to leave early to pick the baby up when he was over here doing absolutely nothing. And now you got to go to work. Now you on a final. If you get in trouble one more time, you going to be fired. Your whole responsibility is raising this kid, and you not getting no help. I can't tell you how to feel about that. Because, and I'm not saying I have wished death on either of my sons' fathers, but I will say that when they were young, all of the raising and the responsibility of them was mine. There was never a time where I could say, well, he needs to go to the doctor, so can you take him? Because I got to go to work. That was mine to figure out. My family was a blessing to me to step in and help, pick up from daycare and all these good things. But ultimately, the responsibility fell on me. While there was another parent out there who had not a worry in the world. Birthdays happen. They ain't show up to no birthday parties. So there wasn't going to be a picture anyway. Now, I'm glad that as adults, because we all get a chance to grow, as adults, yes, both of my sons have great relationships with their dads. Wonderful. But the impact on the single mother when you got it to do with no help, I cannot tell you how to feel about that. I'm not saying wish death on anybody. I'm just saying that even in your most ridiculous, frustrated moment, I get it, because I've had ridiculous, frustrated moments as a single mom.
True.
Where I'm just like, well, how is it that this kid is talking crap to me right now, and your daddy over there, you ain't talking crap to him? How is that? How is it? I'm trying. I'm giving you the best I got, and you still ain't happy with nothing. Like, I get how being a single parent, my son and his daughter were here for about 2 months. They were here. And I watched him with my granddaughter, and I think it's amazing. But even for him, trying hard as he can, he runs out of patience. Because sometimes you got work, you got all these other responsibilities going on, you catching crap from every angle, and then there's this little kid. You're like, what do you want from me? Where is somebody else to take some of this off of me? Because I don't think as parents we give ourselves a break. I think we feel like you got to keep going nonstop for the children. You ain't doing your kids no favors by being exhausted and wiped out and mentally drained. You are not doing your kids any favors. But we feel the pressure and we keep going. And then the child says, "Mommy," and then you lose your fucking mind. Because why are you calling my name again? Go do this. Where's your homework? Did you take a bath? Didn't I tell you to take the garbage out? Like, you lose it because you are emotionally and mentally exhausted. And it is sad to me when a person, I don't care if we're not in a relationship anymore. We have a child in this world. And why should either of us sit back and allow the other one to struggle raising our child? It ain't always even about money. Sometimes it's about the time.
Of course, it's only about the time.
And can you pick her up from school today because I'm stuck at work? Now I got to go ahead and tell my boss, well, although this report is due in the morning, if I'm late at the daycare, they're going to charge me $15 for every 2 minutes that I'm late. And I, of course, can't afford that because you've seen my check, right? Like, how do I ask you to be reasonable? Seriously. How do I ask you to be reasonable in
And
there?
I think, for me, one of the worst parts about being a single parent is when I was depressed, when I was heartbroken, and I didn't have time to grieve, and I didn't have time to heal, because this child needed me. This child needed me to cook. This child needed me to be affectionate. This child needed me to do homework. I didn't have the space, other than being in the shower to cry, I didn't have the room to deal with my heart, because there was no off button to being a mom.
Right.
And that was like the saddest times of me being a single mom, dealing with my own personal shit, and I couldn't deal with it.
And we think our kids don't recognize that. Like, you think that they don't know. Can you remember ever seeing your mom sad or hurt? My mom is very good. Hurt doesn't show up on her. It shows up as aggression. Like, at the point where my mom is hurt, she gonna fight you. Like, it's going down. You better hurry up and get out the way. But that's her version of being hurt. The minute my mom's feelings get touched, her wall goes up, she becomes very aggressive immediately. And I know that's her trying to protect herself, but at whatever cost, you're not going to get to see her vulnerable. She doesn't allow it. And I don't want to be that person. I want to be able to say, that hurt my feelings. Now, that don't mean you going to turn around and apologize, because it ain't on you. But I need to be able to be honest with myself about how I'm feeling about something. And the fact is that I grew up feeling like all of those emotions, hurt and disappointment and fear, like that was all just weakness. And you just look weak standing here crying. You just look weak standing here hurt. I remember my oldest son, his father and I, we were like always battling with each other when he was very young. And one time his dad said he had him, and he told me he was not bringing him back. Like, I'm keeping him, you're never getting him back. And I started crying. And my mom comes around the corner. She's like, well, what's going on? So I told her what he said. She said, and you crying? You better wipe your damn face and get on the phone and tell him he better have that boy here by 5:59. He got 25 minutes. And as hurt as I was, I sucked it up, got on the phone, called him, said exactly what my mama said to say. And then, of course, by that time, she's on her phone calling other people in the family, like, come over here because this boy said he's not going to give Keisha back the baby, blah, 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 blah. And it turned into a family affair at that point. But I wasn't feeling like I wanted to fight. I was feeling like I just want my baby back. And if you never want to come for him again, that's fine. Just give him back to me. And I wasn't allowed to process that. Because hurt, it was like, get over it, suck it up, we got stuff to do. And that person, all she does is take from my life. To be that, takes from my life. It gives nothing to it. All that arguing and debating with people and ready to drag a bitch, not that I won't do it, but all of that, it's just exhausting. And that's who I don't want to do that.
I remember one time she's not my youngest daughter, but my second, middle daughter, whatever, her dad called.
When you got too many kids. Go ahead.
Shut up. Her dad called me and said, he said, I'm going to take Amari to Jamaica and I'm never bringing her back. And I started laughing. I said, listen, if that's what you want to do, I just need you to hear me clearly. By the time you make it to Jamaica, I'll be standing at the airport with a butcher knife. I will stab you in your chest, get the next thing smoking, and go back to U.S. But do whatever you want to do. Just know that that's not a threat. I promise you that on my life. If you take my child to Jamaica today, you will die today. So
you officially, what I want to ask is that truly, were you afraid at any point about it happening?
No.
You had no fear about that happening?
Because the only thing in my mind, it was just simply this. And I think I've been like this a long time when it comes to my kids. I will kill you first.
I think you've been like that just because you.
I'm not about to tongue wrestle with you. We're not about to, like even my oldest daughter, her dad one time picked her up. My mom begged my boyfriend to take me out. I had started dating this new guy. I was like, please take her out. Everything will be fine. And we went out to dinner. I couldn't even eat my food. I just wasn't in a good place with him having my child while I'm not there. I wasn't able to pace the floor like I wanted to, waiting for him to bring her back. And so at that time, I didn't have a cell phone. So we were driving. We were getting ready to go to the movies. And I said, I cannot go to no movies. Stop me at this payphone right quick. So I called my mom. So I called my mom. I'm like, is she home? My mom's like, no. I said, I'm on my way. I got back to the car. I said, take me home now. I don't want to watch a movie. I don't want to eat nothing else with you. I don't want to do nothing with you. I want to go home, see about my baby. So we are on our way to the house. And as we're coming around the corner, he's coming the opposite way from my house. So as I looked, I realized it's just him in the car. So then as soon as we pull up, I literally jump out the car before the car stops. And I get inside, and my mom is sitting there, and she's on the phone with his dad. And my mom literally said, yes, I would have killed your son if he didn't bring her back on time. And at that point, any fear that I might have had, she literally took from me at that moment, because in my mind, the first thing I thought when she said that was that, she had me covered. She was going to make sure I was, everything was going to work out. So that's the reason why it's like, for me, I never had that, you know. I mean, I can understand how you felt, but because I wasn't. He never said to me, "I'm gonna take her and never bring her back." He didn't say that. He never said, "I'm gonna take her. You're never gonna see her." He never said that. He just didn't bring her back on time. And that was the thing that was bothering me. Like, where are you? What are you doing? And then he wasn't answering the phone. And it was all type of little crazy little stuff like that going on. I'm just like, no, I need to go home and see about my baby.
But you know what's crazy to me? Well, not crazy, but what's interesting to me about that, because you mentioned earlier, like, you always looked at, like, everybody put me on this pedestal and treated you differently and not necessarily in the best way. But I never, ever, present day included, I never felt like mama had my back, ever. But you felt that because she showed it to you. When it comes to me, it's been like, fix it your damn self. That's your messed up stuff, you go fix it.
I think, though, and not saying that what you're saying is wrong, but I only think she said what she said because she was the one who was so gung-ho for it to happen. She was the one that kept pressuring me to let Tiana go with her dad. Mm-hmm. She was the one who kept saying, you need to let her go. You hold that baby all day. You have her with you. Never let them get a chance to you. Like, she kept pressing that into me. So I think she felt like she had to threaten them. And she had to do all that because she pushed it on me when I was comfortable. Me and my baby could sit home. We can watch TV in our room. We good. We don't need to go nowhere. And I was fine with that. But I feel like she only did that because she was so adamant about her going, and then after you put it out there that it's going to be fine, you don't have nothing to worry about, then he don't bring her home. Yeah, I think it was just guilt that made her do what she did.
I never got that from her. Like, I remember this day that you're talking about, and I remember getting a call from mama. Like, when it comes to you, I feel like her sense of wanting to help and wanting to support you has always been in a different place than it's been with me.
The crazy part about you saying that is I've never wanted her help.
I didn't say you did. I'm talking about her specifically.
I've always felt like she was saying the helicopter thing. I always felt like she was like, oh, let me do something. Let me just touch all your stuff. Please let me do something. I'm just like, God, why don't you go away? Like, I know you got other kids and stuff to do. Why don't you please go find something? Like, I've never, and I can, now that we're talking about it, I can see how you may have felt that way, but it was the most annoying thing because as a kid, she was never that way with me. I always felt like she didn't give a damn what I did. I could have set the whole house on fire as long as she wasn't there when it was going on. It's whatever. Like the day when I threw that rock through grandma's window and I broke the window, I thought I was going to die that day. And she came and she was just like, I'll pay for the window. And my granddad was like, no, I already called somebody. They're going to come fix the window. Don't even worry about it. Like, it was just like so everything for me always felt like it was some nonchalant. Oh, Shantae just did something else. Oh, she did something else. Oh, yeah, you know Shantae always doing stuff. And that's like, if you ever come to a family thing and you hear them talk about us as kids, that's the first thing they say. Shantae was always doing something. It was just like, it was almost expected for me to fuck up. Oh, she gonna mess up something. Just give her 10 minutes. She's gonna. So I always felt like they were always expecting me. Everyone's ready to pounce on me because we know you're gonna do something. But then Keisha, she's perfect. So let's just put her over here.
Wow. Perception is a mother, ain't it?
Yeah.
Because we grew up in the same house, same mama, different experiences, different perception,
Different needs.
even, and different needs.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that anybody's needs particularly got met.
I don't think nobody's needs.
But
ever got
I
met.
will say that the blessing in growing up and being able to reflect back on things is, how did you see it? Because all of those things, in our childhood, in our early relationships, all those things shape you in some way, and then you get to decide, who am I because of it? Like, all these things happen. Who am I? And I wore the badge of honor being don't nobody want to mess with Keisha. Like, I wore that as a badge of honor when it came to my family and people who got to know me, because not to play with me.
Yeah. Everybody
right?
called Keisha John Gotti.
Everybody, the whole family, right? Which is fine. The downside to it is the expectation that today I still want to do that, because I don't. I choose peace. We can't get along. Let's just get apart. You don't want to be my friend no more. That's fine. You don't want to be around me. I'm okay with that.
With that being said, though, that's something else that I found as, like, when you're younger, you always have these friends. And then as you get, become an adult, it's like you start kind of weeding out your friends. This person, when I want to be bothered, this person is a real friend, this and that. And I realized, I want to say, literally in the last 2 years, I realized my mother used to always have this one saying. She always would say, your real friends live in the house with you. She always would say that. And one day I was really depressed. Like I went through some very, very bad depression. And my little sister called me out of the blue. And she just was rambling about life, blah, blah, blah. And she was like, I just called you to make me feel better. I hadn't said one word. But it made me feel better that she thought that I was the person she needed. So then I find myself calling my sisters more. And I realized in this whole, I need this person and that person and that person, that person. I always just needed my sisters. Like, I have the best conversations with them. And I have, like, when I'm going through something, I can be the real me. I can always be raw and uncut when something is going on. I can just say, so this is what really happened. I know I told y'all this, but this is what really happened. I could be that person with them. And that, for me, is my growing thing. Like, I'm not trying to rectify any relationships with friends, foes, cousins, none of that. Like, my mama had another saying I love so much. I remember when I didn't know you. Like, that's literally one of my favorites, because it's just so hard when you think that you need people. I remember times when I didn't even talk to my sisters. It's certain times that we've had conversations about things that's happened, and I literally have no idea what they're talking about. Like, I can't put a date, a month, a year on it, because I have no idea what was going on, because I wasn't plugged in at that moment. So it's like now I find myself trying to always, I'm putting all the pieces together. When we have conversations, this go with this go with that in my mind, because I realize that my greatest need is from them. The love I need comes from them, not random friends, because they will fold on you, and then you feel stupid because you're like, I spent how many years being your friend?
Even though I will say most recently I had a friendship that in me and Nikki, we parted ways as friends. Being friends for over 30 years, it was tough. I don't have any regrets, though. I feel like there are relationships that
The season.
yeah, and at some point in your growing, God has to transition you. Your spirit has to be transitioned, ascended to another place. That often means some things have to fall away. It's just like, shedding, a coat and growing into your grown woman, like the next level. I always ask to have me growing until use me till you can't use me no more, meaning God. Like, use me, let me be an example of what it looks like to be blessed and be a blessing. Put people in my life, in my path, who mean me well, right? And who I can learn from. I don't want to be the smartest person in my group of friends. I want somebody to also look up to. So for me, I think that the relationship that we've cultivated as sisters is priceless, because everybody doesn't have that. At the same token, I do have some amazing friends in my life, people who I feel like I should spend, like Keena and Perla, I should spend more time with. It's just that I live all the way north, they live all the way south, so it makes it more difficult. But overall, like, there are so many amazing people around me, I don't have enough time to really miss anybody. Like, those who are no longer here, it was great while it lasted. Let's just move forward.
With that being said, I remember the first time I met you.
Perla?
Mm-hmm. The first time I met you, you were so lively. And I remember saying, I want to know her. I remember saying that to myself. I said, I want to know her.
At the house? At your house?
No, it was here the first time. I met
Oh, the
you.
modeling. We did the modeling
We
first.
did
That's
the
when we
modeling,
first.
but no, I came here to the show
Okay,
first,
okay.
and then that was the first time I met you, and I was just like, oh, she's interesting. And then like the next time I met you, I think it was the modeling thing, and then it was like, by that point I had been watching the show a lot, so it almost felt like I already knew you.
Oh.
So when we got to the modeling thing, it was just like, oh yeah, her. Like I remember her. So it just, that's the one thing I will say. Like I did love your energy.
Oh,
From the
thank you
first
so
time I
much.
met you.
That's
So
so sweet.
I could never say that. Like, Keisha has friends that I would never, ever, never talk to.
Wow,
Got you.
that's serious.
Like, I literally,
She's having so much. She already knew what she was talking about.
I
No,
literally,
I'm just
No,
looking at
just
her
the way
face.
that.
she does have some friends that I just don't, and it's not, don't get me wrong, it's not that they're a bad person or they're, it's just something about them that I just don't like them. And it's nothing that they particularly did. I just, I couldn't imagine being locked in a room with you. Like, that's how I think of people. But you, yes, I think I would have a good time, and I think some kind of way we would end up with snacks and stuff, and we would be talking about people, and we would have a good time.
Definitely.
Yeah, so
Talking
like
about people.
I can honestly say, like, some of her friends I have enjoyed. This is actually my first time meeting you, so it's not, anything against you. I don't, I mean, like, you seem cool, so it's cool. But, I always wanted to say it to you. Like,
Thank
and
you. I
love,
appreciate that.
I also love your watching your pictures on
Thank you so
Instagram
much.
and Facebook.
I
You
appreciate
literally always, it's like,
I thought you were gonna say something
about
crazy
it.
because not that I know that we met before, but because when I went to your house when we were in Atlanta,
oh, okay.
yeah, I was like, I'm there. I needed to change. I felt like I could have, like, you were gonna say something else, like,
no.
that's why I was like, what is she gonna talk about? Because I'm like bothering you, like I'm like I need change of clothes. Where's the bathroom? Where's this? And I thought you were gonna go with that.
Which was hilarious. Speaking of the bathroom, she was standing in front of the bathroom door saying, "Where's the bathroom? Where's the bathroom?" I'm like, behind you.
I really think that
I'm excitable.
over the years, friendships and the relationships I hold dear has just become exactly what I've always wanted. Like, I don't talk to you guys every day, but I feel like when we do talk, it's like nothing ever changed. Like, time stood still, we're back, and nothing,
And that's when you know it's in
and
alignment, though.
yeah.
That's when you know
Like,
it's
I
right
don't
because
feel-
it shouldn't be.
I feel no
an issue.
anxiety around you guys. I don't feel like I have to make up a story. I'm not good at being somebody other than me. Like, I'm not good at having one personality at work. This is who I am at work. Like, I get in trouble all the time for being who I am, even at work. But it's just, this is me. And I want to be around people who it's okay to be me around. And I think that, again, to tie it all into today's topic, like the hurt that has happened to us in our lifetime, it makes you question if it's okay to be you. Is it okay to want to be loved? Is it okay to expect people to show up for you? Is it okay to require something of your friends, of your family even? Like, I don't think that it's a good idea to go around chastising our parents for all of the things that because probably to this day, that's who they are. Like, if I wanted my grandmother to become somebody who was going to apologize for everything, I was wasting my time because that's not who she is. But when you come to appreciate that it's not being done to hurt you, it may be my character flaw. That's who I am. People say, oh, you don't answer your phone. Well, by now, if you know me, you don't take that personal because you know that I suck at the phone. It's not my love for you doesn't suck, but it doesn't. But the fact is that my idiosyncrasies is I talk all day. I get off from work. I'm just all talked out. That's the truth about it. Other than that, the love doesn't change. But the people who love you will already know that. The people who truly are invested in you, you won't have to keep explaining you to them.
You know what? Well, I get what you're saying, but we also need to show up. You know what I'm saying?
We do.
Because you can't use that as an excuse forever. Because I remember there was a time where my sister got mad at me. I was like, yo, I'm at work. I can't talk to you right now. You know, like go into lengthy conversations, especially you don't know if my boss is in front of you.
Right.
In front of me right now. It's like, the first thing I feel that people lack to ask is, do you have time to speak? You know what I mean?
Yes,
Like, do you have
yes.
time to speak right now? Because sometimes you don't. You know, sometimes I don't pick up the phone call from my brother because my brother, boy, he goes hard, girl. He could talk. And I know that I need to give him that proper time without interruptions.
Right.
And not feel like, whatever, not interrupt him. But that is something that I've had to learn because I don't call anybody when I'm home. Like, I barely speak to anybody. I have one girlfriend, one coworker that she'll call me random, drunk or whatever, and talk to me about work. And I pick up the phone past 12 for her because she'll like be insistent and like hit me through Messenger and other places. And then one very good friend, she's the only one that I pick up after certain hours, just because I know it's gonna be some story, drama, and she's the only two that get away with it. But if you would think that I have an issue with any one of y'all, for example, I didn't call my girl right here that I love so much for her birthday. I just remembered today. I'm like, oh my God, your birthday. I'm so sorry. We need to go to dinner.
We missed it?
Yes, we sure did, girl. Because we talked about it the week before.
We
It's been a week.
sure did. Happy
Thank
birthday!
you very much. Happy belated.
Oh my God! We gotta do better.
We do.
We
do.
gotta
So
do
that was
better.
an example.
Me too. Hey.
You guys are the same day?
No, just don't do that.
Same sign.
Don't do that.
Same sign.
Same
Same
sign.
sign.
Anyway, so we do need to put some effort, because even though they do understand it, people need to receive that
Right,
in our end as
right.
well, Which reminds me, I gotta call my girlfriend back, because since, again, she's the only one that does call. When she didn't, if I don't call back at some point, she'll be like, yo, I'm done with you. I'm like, no, wait, no, you're my only
It's
friend that
funny
still
you
calls
say
me.
that, because when I call her and she doesn't answer, I don't take it offensively, but I swear to God, if I'm doing something and she calls my phone, I'm like, yo, I have to call you right back because my sister called me. Boom! I hang up on whoever it is, because I know she's busy.
Right.
And so I know that if she's taking the time to call me, I know she's taking a moment to call me.
Right.
And I know that this is going to be a undivided attention type of conversation. So my random friend that I can talk to whenever, sis, you and your baby, y'all gonna be good. I'll call y'all back. We'll have that same what he doing today conversation with you. I can have that with you later. But I need to talk to my sister. It's like she's like energy for me. And sometimes we have great energy when we're talking, and we come up with good ideas and things like that. And so sometimes I be needing that just for me, just to make my day go by. So sometimes, which I agree with you, because when she don't call me back, I'm just like, all right, then, no problem.
Okay, so we're gonna move on. So guys, this is part one of the conversation. Like I think that this kind of morphs into the next question that I have under Who Hurt You, which is, do you only love people as you want to see them? Can you truly love them as they are? And I wish you would be here next week, because you have proven that you can love them people as they are. So we want to thank you guys for tuning in tonight. If you have not done so as of yet, please go ahead and follow us on YouTube at the Curve-Unplugged. Follow us on Instagram at Curve Media Group. There we go. And on Facebook at The Curve. Thank you guys again for joining us. We will be back next week. Same time, same station. Good night.
Good night.
Thank you, ladies.
I'm
We do
real,
what we can around here.
powerful, sexy, the boss, celebrated, and most importantly, I'm curvy. I am woman, abundantly, yeah, blessed with a little more than the average you see.